Well, I thought the beat was gonna come on like sooner. You know, movies are kind of like, I don't know, not only a reflection of whatever they're trying to say, but they definitely are a reflection of you yourself as an viewer, a spectator, or however you want to call it. I've been into this journey recently of seeing how my different reaction to different movies throughout the time sort of reflect changes in me as a person. I am not a good changer, you could say. Like I don't really change too much. But I guess it's a proven fact that and it is that we are changing creatures. We we change. Like how could we not, right? But welcome to another casual conversation with me, your friend Carlz, where I take whatever I say in Spanish and I try to make sense of it in English. In this case, not only do I need to try to make it change, make it make sense, something I said in Spanish, but the whole reflection in on itself by this movie was again something that I think I seem to be touching, no disrespect, more than often these days. And it's that kind of like a spectrum that movies have for you to react to them. It's funny to think about it because even though some movies get these big either bad or good reactions when they are released, when they come out, how often do we hear now the whole uh, it has become a cult movie or it has amassed a big following? So these several things that have happened recently as I'm recording this. I could have recorded before, but I didn't have the time. I was really busy. But two things are happening today, Monday. One is that director Rob Reiner was has died. Right? He has directed many like classic movies, but he directed one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Spinal Tap, a movie that got not necessarily panned, but it was a movie that grew on people. And today, well, between today and yesterday, it was the 10th anniversary of Star Wars The Force Awakens. 10 years. And you also get a similar vibe to those movies. Not only to those movies, but to the prequels. I've mentioned this before. If you leave the prequels when they were happening, it was like awful. It was, I don't know. Hell, the Ahmed Best, right? The actor that portrayed Jar Jar Binks. I think he has said that he had like depression. Like I don't know if he contemplated some sort of self harm. If you do, look, reach out for someone, right? But that just goes to show how these things change. What's the basis of this thing? And like you could do this from a press or like a medium experts. This is what experts say about it. But at the end of the day, the final point, the final dot in the comment comes from you. So back in like when is this movie? Like 2017, I don't know. It has been a long time. Where this movie, the first that I personally heard, the first zombie movie from Korea, Train to Busan, came to be, and it was a massive hit. It was a huge hit. Everybody loved it, and I think this is not necessarily at the same time, but it's kind of like when we were like in the first half of the rise of Korean culture, like popular culture becoming such a mainstream thing that it is today. Like slowly and surely, now everybody knows K-pop and K-dramas and Korean directors. They, now Korea in a popular, in a sense of mass media, popular media concept, it's there, it's out there. But back in there, I don't remember hearing too much about it. Probably the same guys were singing the Super Juniors and like the Mini Juniors and like the Junior Mints. Probably all of those bands already existed and I didn't know about it. But okay, that's not the point. The point is, this movie comes out, Train to Busan, about the zombie apocalypse occurring in Korea, and these people fleeing from it in a train to Busan. Duh, right? So they're in the train, they're running, and everybody seems to love this movie. Then you get people like me who have seen horror and zombie flicks in between for like forever. Then you go see the movie. What happens when you see Train to Busan as a zombie? I don't want to say expert or connoisseur, enthusiast. Enthusiast is a fair enough concept. So you go see Train to Busan, and to me personally, that first view, it was kind of like imprinted in my brain. I thought it was mid as fuck. I thought it was mid as fuck, and I thought the only reason why this movie was popular was because of this Asian flair of it being Korean. If you sort of take the movie apart, it's so trope heavy from the perspective of zombie movies. Like you have like the classic archetypes, for example, how the pandemic or the virus spread, how the zombies behave, mm, what it means from a political sense, and then you have like the tropes of the survivors. These are things that have always existed. Like you have the enthusiast survivor, the ones that discover something personal about them. You have the ones that betray the group. These are zombie tropes that are like written in stone. And no matter how you see Train to Busan, they are all there. Train to Busan's only kind of unique feature is that it happens on board of the train, which has some sort of cultural input, which is, of course, undeniable. Not every country and not every culture can empathize with the train culture that exists mostly through Asia. So, for example, if this were to happen down here in South America, it would mostly be in a bus. And bus to Busan just doesn't hit the same. The gimmicks and the setups they do for action and dramatic scenes, they all depend on the train. The movie has a great rhythm, that you can say for it. But if you think about all of the other elements of it being a zombie movie, it just mid. Not only that, but as a zombie enthusiast and as a movie enthusiast, there's something I might have mentioned this before, but there is something I always sort of challenge when I see movies, and is the usage of extreme imagery or like just images or concepts, especially in the range of or in the topics of or subjects of sexuality and violence. The extreme expression of these two elements in movies, to me, are always something that must be challenged. You must always ask and like challenge a movie if it shows too much violence or if it shows too much sex. And there are plenty of examples I can give you. Just the other day, I was talking with a friend about Crash, David Cronenberg's movie about people who get sexual satisfaction from violence, specifically from car crashes. And you immediately need to ask the movie, like, what is the purpose of this sexuality, of this sort of explicitness, if you can say it like that, of the movie? And there is a deeper context in it. There is this pathetic view of the characters, this kind of like victimization of being a victim to your own desires. It's there, it's in the movie. You can even take this to an extreme, like in Nymphomaniac by Lars von Trier, right? Like the whole full version is 7 hours of not even softcore but sometimes hardcore porn that allegedly has a point, which it does. It's a movie that personally I like, but the more you see the extremes, the more the message is supposed to get like heightened. And if you have seen the whole 7 hours of Nymphomaniac, and you remember the ending, I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's right there. The usage of sex in this case, as it can do for violence, to enhance your movie's message in such a way that it becomes undeniable and it sort of leaves an imprint on your mind. Now, going back to zombies. Zombies use this a lot since the beginning of the genre. And if you think about the mainstream beginning of the genre being, for me personally, the first movie that I remember is Night of the Living Dead. It's not the first that I saw because it's before my time, but it's the one where I've seen the beginnings of the concept. And from then on, violence in zombie movies to me have become a must. And the point is that whatever zombie movies are trying to highlight, as opposed to the extreme violence that they might show visually, just as Nymphomaniac did with sex, is that shock not only frames but also enhances any type of dramatic message or like ideological thing that you want to portray through it. You know, like, and it doesn't have to be that much of a big of a deal. If we go back to Night of the Living Dead, which is framed in this type of zombie category that I like to call like the nightmare. You have like different types of showing zombie tropes, and it could be like the apocalypse style, like completely focused on the survivor, the years later, whatever. There are many ways of showing, but like the whole point of Night of the Living Dead was that it was like a nightmare. It was one night where everything went to shit, and you could, if you have seen the movie, you can recall the newscasters people going like describing what was going on, almost like if it was like a transcendental dream state. These creatures consume the flesh of the living. Like, you know, that is sort of the impact you have. So, now again, we go back to Train to Busan, a movie that is completely devoid of zombie violence. It's not a non-violent movie, but it is a PG-13 movie. It reminds me a lot of World War C, where you have like really tame zombies. What does this create? It creates a zombie world, or like a zombie sort of presence, that it's only conceptual. Like, if you don't use zombies visually in a way that it's appealing, you might as well just replace them with text. It might sound harsh, but it's true. Like, you see a zombie movie, what do you remember of it? The zombies, how they did, or like you remember this kill, you remember this scene of violence, like because that is the way how zombies become impactful. But as I mentioned, World War C, like in my Spanish version, and I think I need to go back to it. You get this sort of PG-13-ish zombie movies where it seems almost too perfect to bring down the rating of the movie, to just go like, okay, these are zombies, but they just chomp on you and you become a zombie. There's no guts, there's no violence, there's nothing. So my first viewing of Train to Busan was play with it to almost to an annoying point. It's like, you know, to me they were like just what made Train to Busan zombies different, unique, or like anything special at all, is that they breakdance. That was that seemed to be the thing, right? He just they just break dance. They bite you and then you become a break dancer. But that's it. That's it. I don't think there is no one that could defend Train to Busan zombies as being something extraordinary. Like they're fast, okay, but we have seen that before. They did these crowd things that I really don't like. They try to portray zombie crowds as this like amazing unstoppable force because there are like just too many of them, but they use this digital enhancement and these they just look bad. They don't look as bad as World War C, but there are more clever ways of like creating this illusion of zombie crowds using smaller spaces, using framing, you know. Even in that case, if you have used graphical violence, it would have felt more pressuring. It would have felt more tense just by the looks of it. But just a bunch of digital Korean guys running at you is not scary, nor stressful. So that first viewing was chock full of that. It's like this is not scary, this is not stressful, like this is not original. You know, you get to challenge these sort of assumptions. Like it would it had been a better movie? It had been more explicit, perhaps. I mean, and I know at least I would have enjoyed it more. At the very minimum, when you get like gore elements on movies, if you are, as I think I am, a fairly normal person, you get a kick out of it. Like gore to me is one of those things that are absurd, and if you put them on a right context, the absurdness, is that a word? Maybe the absurdness of it all, it just brings something out of what you're watching. So it is kind of like a case to case thing that you can do with gore. The other day I was thinking about Hellraiser, like the first three of them, and how gore and explicit violence on those movies. It was something that was very controversial, but if you see the movies, they are there for a reason. The Cenobites are this sort of expression of sin and like how can you explain it, and demons, and it's for something. That's the point. The gore is extreme, it's visual, but it's for something. And if you are not a completely deranged person that only sees that and go like, yeah, death, you can see it's there for a reason. And that is how it often works with zombies as well. Like that explicit violence is there for a reason, as I said, to highlight whatever message you want to say. So, what is the message Train to Busan wants to convey? And it's really drop feel heavy. All of the survivors in Train to Busan, again, they are nothing new. You have seen these zombie movie survivors everywhere, anywhere. A strange father, like discovering his love for his daughter, how he wasted all of his time before the apocalypse happened, someone that was always like a valiant hero, and it showed his quality as Faramir did, you know, when he could have taken the ring. What else? You have the classic coward, only thinks for themselves, you know. There is no original character in Train to Busan, none. So if you see it I saw it for the first time, and I'm like, okay, I don't have the violence that highlights these tropes. I don't have visually anything new except of the setting of the train and them being Korean. I have I have no new character to sort of like sink my teeth in and say like, oh, I've never seen this in a zombie movie. This is so interesting. I don't have anything about it. And to this day, I haven't read like many reviews about Train to Busan and like all the big things they did. It is a fun movie, and you can tell it's well directed because it doesn't slope at all. As I've said before, I'm just a ball guy. I'm not a movie expert, and what that means is that when you see something, you are safe to say it's well directed if you weren't bored by it. You know, you can immediately see that something is well directed, even if you don't know shit about it. Well directed and well edited, and if you didn't get bored, if we all have that. You can even call it an instinct as humans, not necessarily only moviegoers, but like we can feel it. We can see like, why are you talking so much about this? Why are you spending so much time in this shit that it doesn't matter? Why are you showing this to me so fast that it's hard to understand? You know, like you don't need to have a PhD in this shit, but like you see this and like, dude, this is too long. This is too fast. This is too boring. You can tell. So at least in that sense, Train to Busan is well directed and well edited. But if you have a whole history of watching these movies, man, the credits roll and you don't have nothing to show for as an spectator. Like there's nothing lingering in your brain. There's nothing you wanna like understand further or anything. So fuck it. It's a mediocre movie. Now, I have seen this movie a total of 3 times. I saw it when it was available. I don't remember when, but when it was current. I thought it was so mediocre. Then I rewatched it because all of my friends were like, "Oh, this movie is so awesome" and everything. So I rewatched it and I thought the same. And I haven't seen that movie until last week, right? When I saw it for my Spanish episode. For some reason, I thought about this movie. Maybe it was because I was watching Night of the Living Dead. Or like maybe something to do with the K-pop Demon Hunters or something. Like make me think about Korean stuff. So anyways, I rewatched this movie. And all of these elements that I had the first and second watch were still there. They are all still there. Like I still feel like it's a mediocre zombie movie. It's a mediocre horror movie. Like it just is. But for some reason, this second view was too much. Like it caught me in a way that I didn't remember ever happening the first time. I saw the relationship between like the main protagonist, right? The main protagonist and his daughter, and the other main protagonist and his wife, who is having a child. Which, as I said before, they are tropes that you have seen already in zombie movies. But for some fucking reason, I saw myself sobbing by the end of Train to Busan. Like the father sacrifices himself for his daughter, trying to show her that he actually loves her. Which again, I cannot repeat it enough. It's something that you have seen before. But this is just to show how your state of mind changes. It might, I don't know if this justify movies becoming cult hits later, but to me, I don't know. It sort of reflects not only my emotional state, but my capacity of being a little bit more optimistic. Because what explains you having a different level of enjoyment of the same thing, the same argument, the same character archetypes or tropes by a different span of years? One time you enjoy it, you think it's mediocre, but the next time it sort of hits you. And I'm not a father or anything. I don't I don't care to be a father. I don't want to be a father. But that third act, the dynamic between the father, the daughter, and the other friend. I mean, not the friend, but the guy that his wife is pregnant. The emotional dynamic they create, which, as I said at the beginning, is the whole purpose of a movie like this, like a zombie movie or like a horror or disaster movie. They are only there to highlight the survivors. It's not about the zombies. Maybe in that movie I Zombie or something like that. I haven't really seen that movie. Or maybe in Dawn of the Dead. In Dawn of the Dead, the zombies have a lot of input, but even if they are more complex creatures, they are still there only to highlight the human characters. But anyways, for some reason, in this latest view of Train to Busan, it worked. Without the violence, without the explicit, without being original, it worked. How can you explain that? And here's when it gets tricky, because the only way you can actually explain this, the only way you can actually make it have sense, because it's the same movie, it hasn't changed. And of course, you probably everybody see it coming. The only way to explain this is that either you have changed or you are in a different mind state. But is you receiving the message. And of course, as I said, it becomes extremely strange because I don't feel I haven't changed that much. I don't feel my interests have changed that much either. But the kid at the end, well, by the way, the kid is a kick-ass actor. The delivery of the kid at the end is so realistic, is so strong that it just had me in tears. Like it was just it. And at that moment, it dawned to me that it's so important that you self-check yourself. It's so important to rewatch movies. It doesn't have to be like, oh, after a tragedy happened to me or after a life-changing event happened to me. No, it's really important to rewatch a movie. It just is like that sort of rebound that comes from between the movie and you, how the message keeps rebounding between you two. But the movie, you know how in tennis you can like practice against a wall? That is the movie. The movie ain't changing. The movie is the same. But you keep moving around. So every time you face it, you know, you can get different perspectives. Then, like, do you want me to say that that I was wrong or like maybe the movie was always good? No. I think the movie is as mediocre as it was the first time. But I just enjoy it like probably twice, 3 times as much as I enjoyed it that first time. Am I gonna go into like a speech about trying to reflect on how have I changed to gain this new perspective on the movie? No. No, that's not something anyone want to hear. The message here is that you as well as me can get different experiences from a same movie, and that is a magic that movies have. That is the magic of the medium. So I can't, by good conscience, add this to a review to Train to Busan. And here's where I want to sort of like leave you with. Even though I enjoyed it so much this second time, I thought the characters and the story arcs hit me right in the feels. Even though the movie works so well, I don't change any statement or I don't change any reaction that I had to it the first time. I can't. I can't. I still think it's such a mediocre movie whose only like really redeeming quality is the whole setting of the train. I dislike the the breakdancing zombies. I think the characters are made like everything is there. But how do we sort of make peace between having these ideas, these considerations of the movie being mediocre to our level of enjoyment with it? Perhaps what the correct way to do that would be to sort of make it explicit. If you're talking about a movie, you are thinking about all of its elements. You think all of its elements are mediocre, but then you write a footnote and you write, but it affects me in a way that is unique to me. It's a unique relationship between what I'm seeing and what I'm reacting to. Because even if I reacted to these characters in such a passionate and emotional way this third time watching the movie, it doesn't change what I think about it. Even more so, this last viewing of Train to Busan made me think like, okay, perhaps the value of it or the creativity of it could be sort of shown or like, how can you say, exposed? Is it exposed? You can say exposed or like shown. I think shown is better in another of the directors or the franchise stories. So I ended up watching Peninsula, which is kind of like the sequel of Train to Busan, which is in the future and whatever. And it's such a shitty movie. Sorry, so cringy and trope filled. It's just annoying. It's just annoying how can you use all of these tropes, and in the case of Peninsula, these are more extreme zombie tropes. So they, in that case, to me, they sort of demand stronger visuals. But it's so cringe, it's so stereotypical, it's so corny that I hated it. I hated it. It was so boring. It was just such a boring movie. But above everything, it was cringy as fuck. And it looked terrible. Like it's CGI post-apocalypse shit. And then you might ask, like, yeah, but like, what if you see Peninsula 10 years from now and it hits you like Train to Busan? I don't know. I don't know if I'd even be alive in 10 years. I don't know shit. I don't know shit. So the only conclusion you can have is that you get not one, but you get a reaction and you get a feeling with a movie each time you see it, no matter if it's the same movie or not. You get this relationship, this magical moment. That's why movies are so cool, because between what you're seeing, what you're listening, there is a whole complex of emotions and reactions, which are different by each creative medium, right? Like when you read a book, is almost everything in your mind, which is also great, and it's something that I also love. Just that expansion of imagination in your mind when you read something, when you experience something like that. It's also great, but it's a completely different feeling. So Peninsula sucks. And if I had to like bet on me changing my opinion, I think it has less chances of that being the case as it happened with Train to Busan, because unlike Train to Busan is just, even if it's about the zombie apocalypse, it's a smaller movie. It's a way, way, way smaller movie with less characters and a world less complicated. It's a more honest movie in the end. and Peninsula is not. Peninsula it's just like a tries so hard to be like an Asian Korean Walking Dead or something. But I'm not talking about Peluncin. I'm talking about Train to Busan. I'm just using Peninsula to sort of show that this this kind of like you could say praise you can get to Train to Busan or their creators or their creative direction. To me, Peninsula is a justification of all my skepticism for Train to Busan from the standpoint of zombie movies, horror movies, and my belief of it being a mediocre movie. Peninsula is a reflection of that. So stereotypical, so cringy, so generic. Peninsula is like a reaffirmation of my beliefs. But at the same time, the whole experiment between watching Train to Busan, it's also a reaffirmation of my other belief that as I stated just now, that every view and every sitting down with a movie is a unique experience. And it needs to be taken as such. You know, I don't think I don't think you should kind of like go rewatch every movie you've liked all the time. I don't think that is the way of watching movies. But I think if you really either like a movie or you really want to get to the nitty gritty of it, for example, to me, my interest in Train to Busan is because I love horror and I love the zombie genre. So if you're telling me there's a good famous zombie movie, I need to see it for myself, and I get my own consequences, no, my own reactions to it. And it's a must. It's a must for me that I like the genre and everything. But be advised, be aware, and ultimately, like the big conclusion that I can get out of this is just more praises for movies as a genre. Perhaps it's not their flexibility that allows them to have different reactions. Perhaps it's just you as an spectator and a viewer, the one that is flexible enough. Hopefully you are. Hopefully you are. But what we change, man? I used to love Biodome when I was a kid. Last time I watched Biodome like 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. I hated it so much. It was so stupid. The characters were so annoying. Like I couldn't fucking stand the movie. And when I was a kid, I thought it was the shit. You see my point? So, to sort of bring everything together, experiment. If you like movies, be open-minded. Watch everything. Criticize everything. Think about everything, and the amount of enjoyment you can get by just thinking about these subjects, by even if you dislike it, even if you're thinking about why do you dislike it, or them, as many other factors, even thinking about the why is amazing. And like, I guess in some sort of a funny way, if Train to Busan to me can show me that probably means that it's a better movie than I want to acknowledge it to be. But that's only me. And I'm sharing this with you so you can have your own experience. This is why I would love all of these instances to be more than like a soliloquy. Yeah, that's a word in English, right? Soliloquy. That is why you need other people as well, isn't it? Because then when we see a movie, we see it together, we are sharing this unique connection. and I can't give you my unique connection to the movie ever. But if I try to, and try to, and try to, and if I try to approach you, and if I try to show you the emotions, and if I have an open empathy with you and you as well with me, we can share this completely human experience, like which is so beautiful. And you can get all of that from a Korean zombie movie. Isn't that a neat thing about being human? You know? Isn't that a neat thing? Still, I wish that like, they had some guts flying. Some heads go like blowing. I don't know, man. You know? It would probably have made the movie even better. I had to say it. Shit. Like I would probably have had the same reaction that I'm having now. Like the same different reaction from first viewing to third viewing years later. But at least I would have enjoyed the action more. They just chomp you once and leave and let you be, which makes no sense. I love when zombie movies try to explain no because the virus wants to self-replicate or like because they feel unstoppable hunger or because they need to eat brains because they don't have brains or their brains are rotting, like or like the old Haitian voodoo zombies, like no, they are the cursed undead and they hate the living because they are undead. I love when they explain that shit. Sometimes it's stupid, sometimes it makes no sense, but it's entertaining. Here they just chomp you. Why? Just take a bite of it. Yum. But anyways, that is my time. I really wish that I could be sure that I will be recording next week, but I don't know. Perhaps this could be my last episode of the year. If that's the case, to whoever is listening, have great holidays, Christmas, however the fuck you wanna call them. Try to find your happiness. Trying to find, I don't know, your peace, because the world is gonna sound sad, but the world gets bleaker every fucking day, man. Every fucking day. So for all of those, as they say in Dark Souls 3, looking for those embers, in the best ending to probably any Soul game ever, you know. What is this? The phrase? Are you there? What is the phrase? The name for the hollows in Dark Souls 3? Embers? No. Soul of cinders? No. Well, are you there? I hope you fucking are. If not, well, try to find you. Try to find yourself. Okay? If I don't see you, take care. Until next time. Bye bye.